This is part 3 of the video build log for the Dynam SR Trainer. In part 2, we mounted the flaps and assembled the wing. In this part, we'll complete the assembly for the rest of the airplane, and we'll have some closing comments about the model overall. Now, while we've been waiting for the wings to fully dry, I've done a couple of things here involving the inside of the airplane. First, I programmed the model into one of the model memories of my transmitter and bound the transmitter to the receiver. I'm using a 6-channel receiver, and so I have the flaps on the aux channel with a white cord with the flap reverser device in line with that. And then I also have the ailerons on a second Y cord on the aileron channel. With a model that's small like this, there's really not a reason to have, I don't believe, the differential aileron that you might use if you had a 7-channel radio that you were going to use for this model. The other thing you'll notice here is most of my batteries have Dean's connectors, and so I spent a little time with my soldering gun and added an adapter with a banana plug on one end and then the plug side of the Dean's connector on the other. That way, at some point, if I do end up changing batteries to these banana type connectors, I wouldn't have changed or done any work on the connector on the speed control itself. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, along with then bundling the wires on the inside so that they have a nice compact appearance and they're not going to get tangled in the servo or the push rods. So the wing just mounts very simply. Just slide it right in there. Pushes down into the back part of the wing saddle just very, very nicely. The foam fit on all of the parts has been very good. We have the small wing attachment bolt that drops in to the black sleeve that we glued in when we put the wings together, and we just firm it up. Again, it doesn't have to be hugely tight, and it comes together. Now, the other thing that we've got left to do is to work with our decals. And so I'm going to give you just a quick idea of how I choose to do that. The decals are nice, and I try to cut them very close to the markings that you'll see on the decals themselves. They're all numbered on the instructions, and so it should be pretty easy for you to figure out which one goes where. Now, this one goes on this wheel pan, and what I like to do is peel the decal back from its backing, like so, and then use the scissors and cut off the backing for that first 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, as you can see right there. And so I've got a little bit of the decal. What that allows me to do is to place the decal where I want it and have it really easy to move around so I know I have it. And then I can just slide my finger down and get the sticky part of that end in, and then I can fold it up and just peel the rest of the backing off as I go, making sure that I don't get any bubbles or wrinkles in the decal, and then the decal doesn't end up circling back and sticking to itself, ruining the decal. And so that's what I'm going to do. That works really well for these small ones. For the ones that go along the whole length, I'm going to use that same technique, except I'm going to go very slow and be very patient so that I can get them aligned with the paper part. And then when I get the back part on, I'll solidly mount it. But just keep in mind that even a rotation of a degree or two can cause the front part to miss the target. So you want to be very careful as you put those on. And then last, you'll notice that I mounted the propeller and the nose cowling. You'll remember that we talked about the double stick tape around the edge there. And as we worked with the flaps, that double stick tape really worked well. And so I didn't want to have such a permanent mounting for the cowling because, frankly, the motor shaft is a little narrow. And so with an airplane with the propeller on the front, you know, a ground loop, you might bump the propeller or have some other mishap that may require you to get underneath your cowling. And so what I chose to do is to strip that double stick tape off, and then I placed a magnet. So I have a magnet here and a magnet on the other side, which gives pretty firm connectivity of the cowl to the rest of the fuselage. And with the propeller, it's not going to go anywhere, and so that allows me to easily remove propeller should I have to, and then the cowl will just slide off. Kind of conservative when it comes to that, and I just didn't want to permanently mount that cowling to the front of the airplane. The narrow shaft of these kinds of motors, they use hexagon-shaped bolts, and you screw them on, and then there are hexagon-shaped indentations both on the spinner and on the propeller, and so the instructions show pretty easily how that goes, and it's fitting in those hexagon-shaped recesses that allow the propeller to spin. It's what provides the friction that allows it to rotate when the motor rotates. So with that, I'm going to finish up the decals, and I'll be back in just a minute. Now for just a couple of closing comments about the Dynam SR trainer. The airplane went together very smoothly. The foam is nice. The fit was very good. I did have a couple of problems with it though. The elevator and the rudder servo simply didn't work. I programmed the radio, had them plugged in. They would run one way but not both. In one case it was buzzing and actually started to get hot. I took it out, put it on my servo tester, again, just simply couldn't get it to work. And after messing with it for a while, I just simply threw them away. I replaced those with a couple of HS55s from Hitec, and they went in exactly in the same place, great fit, and they worked right out of the box. You know, that's one of the drawbacks with some of these inexpensive ARFs, is that sometimes the electronics can let you down. So just beware that it could happen. No big deal if you're prepared. I was able to bring the airplane outside, put it on a watt meter with a freshly charged 2200 milliamp 3-cell battery, and ran it up. It worked pretty well. It pulled only about 13.5 amps, and so for those of you who may be interested in a little more power, changing the propeller to something with a little bit more bite may give you a few more amps to play with. That turned out to be about 156 watts of power. And when they figure the airplane weighed right at 33.5 ounces, that comes into about 75 watts per pound, which puts it firmly in that trainer category of power to weight ratio. So again, if you're going to fly it more aggressively, you're probably going to want to do some modifications to the prop, perhaps the motor or the ESC. In any case, the airplane has a really nice appearance. You can see that I've got the decals on it, and it just looks very nice. It balanced exactly where the instructions indicated, and the control throws that I measured with the servo setups as it comes from the factory were exactly right. So all in all, pretty happy with the SR trainer from Dynam, and I'm looking forward to getting it out to the flying field. Hope this has been helpful to you. Goodbye.